All right, psychology nerds, and welcome to Psychology and Stuff, the podcast out of Phoenix Studios at the University of Wisconsin-Green Bay. I'm Ryan Martin, one of the hosts of Psychology and Stuff, and I'm here, as always, with my co-host. She's the chair of the UW Green Bay Psychology Program, my good friend, Dr. Georjeanna Wilson-Dunges. How's it going, G?
It is going very, very well. I have to give you a shout out. So earlier this week, you and some of our other fabulous colleagues here at UW Green Bay launched the Common Cause about truth and misinformation, and it was phenomenal. 2 days filled with so much great information, and so I'm giving you a huge shout out. So thank you so much for your hard work on that, and I'm sure that you could drop a link that people could see some of that content maybe right now or later in the episode.
Yeah, we will get that done. We'll include something in here. We're still, so first of all, thank you. That means a lot. And yes, it was a big lift, and special thanks to a whole bunch of people, including our intern, Kelsi, who we'll bring in just a second. But it was a big lift from a bunch of people to get this done. But it was, the sessions were really great. This was a really, really, really good conference. I learned a ton from our coworkers across the College of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences. So, regular listeners probably remember, we did an episode related to this a couple of weeks ago. Aaron Weinshank came in to talk about belief perseverance, and that was connected to that conference. But we're hoping to get a lot of those sessions up online so people can check them out after the fact. So the ones we have recorded, we're hoping to get posted. So, but just anyone who gave a session who's listening, please know that I was very, very impressed just across the board. So that was cool. And G, including you, I know you did it. You came and did an awesome session. You want to tell people what you did?
Sure. We actually used our friend Regan Gurung at Oregon State University, put together a deck of cards called Neuromyths and Learning Fallacies. And so we used this deck of cards to have a competition to see if truth or lie kind of game, and my fellow psychology faculty members squeaked out a win by 1 point over our sport, exercise, and performance psychology master's students, followed then by non-psych faculty and psych students. And so it was a really fun different approach, but I actually think we all learned quite a bit about some of the myths that we hold about learning.
Oh, that is cool. I really like that a lot. So thank you for doing that, and thanks for your support. And another person I have to thank for this is our intern, Kelsi, who is here with us today in what will be her last episode working with us. Kelsi, how's it going?
I mean, good. This specific episode, and talking about Common Cause, because I obviously was working for Ryan during that as well, so I got to see all the things, and it was fantastic. But this specific episode that we're going to jump into is about the holidays and the holiday season, and that sparked so much joy for me. And then all of a sudden you bring up the fact that this is my last episode, and it's like, well, we were doing great. And now I don't know, it breaks my heart. I'm very, very sad. But I'm very excited for you guys to continue listening to everything as a fan, a supporter in the future. But yeah, so.
We should preface things by saying she is choosing to abandon us in this moment. This is not a case of us having fired her. She has decided that she needs to focus on some other things going forward. So I just want to make that clear. Unless you want us to tell people we're firing you, we can do that.
I feel like both outcomes aren't great. Neither of them are very favorable for me. So, I guess I'll just take it, that I'm a quitter. So,
I mean, it's worth noting that internships are intended to end at some point. And so, this is following the natural progression of such a thing. So we'll spend some time at the end getting nostalgic and sad for your departure. But before we get to that, before we get to the part where we say our goodbyes, let's talk about today's episode, where we decided that we are going to talk holiday movies and kind of what they mean about us. Is that how we are framing this?
Yes.
Perfect. So yeah, we each picked two. We're going to go around the horn here a little bit and just talk through each of them. Kind of share some thoughts about why we like them, what we like about them, and also what they say about us as, or what our appreciation of them says about us as beings. So Georgina, you want to kick this off?
I sure do. So my absolute favorite by a long shot, like favorite Christmas movie. For me, it's Christmas, not holiday, but for me, my favorite Christmas movie is Charlie Brown Christmas. And I know it's like a classic for sure, but I'm a bit older than both of you. And so this was actually first started showing on TV when I was a small child. Like, so it was definitely part of my childhood and not one that I could watch over and over again, because back in, like the early 1970s, it would show one time on the TV, and we didn't have a VCR to like record it, even like back in that day. So I felt like everyone that I knew would put it on their calendar when the Charlie Brown Christmas special was going to be on TV, and everyone would like plan to watch it as like a common event. And I loved that. As in my childhood, it was always like on some random school night too, where I wasn't allowed to watch TV, but I got to watch TV, and I would watch it with my family. And so for me, it's a very sentimental part of my childhood. I think that I memorized Linus's speech, like, "For unto us today in the city of David, a savior was born." Like, I think I could recite that word for word by the time I was like 7. And so that was also a part of my religious upbringing, as a child of a very religious family. I always appreciated that it wasn't like totally a religious show, but it like gave a nod to that, like the Christmas pageant kind of thing that I was also involved in, but also like the other side of Christmas, like the singing and the decorating of the Christmas tree and the buying of presents and all of those things. And so for me, it was a half an hour of like pure sentimental joy. And so what that says about me is that I am a sentimental sap.
Yeah, I love that movie. It was not one of the ones I selected, but it is a big time favorite. And I will also tell you that I have a video of my children doing the like Peanuts dancing when they were little, from the scene, from the little dance scene. That is one of my favorite videos. I may actually send that to Kelsi to have her share as well. So no, it's a great movie. And I have two tiny things to add to this. One is that Charles Schulz is from Minnesota, where I am from. And so I have there's a lot of Peanuts connection for me in my youth. In fact, I lived right down the street for a while from where he had lived for a long time, the apartment he had lived in. And so, yeah, which was really great. It is above a bar that I frequented in college. But then the other thing I would say is, there's a lot of not a lot, but there are a bunch of these Peanuts films and holiday specials. And this one is just, in my mind, vastly superior to the others. I mean, it's just really, really good and really, really sweet, and captures a lot of the important things for me about Christmas. Very good. Kelsi, what about you?
Yeah, no, so comment on that. I have seen it only a couple of times, which is sad. But I did have a Charlie Brown Christmas tree growing up. I bought one, or my sister bought one for a teacher, and it ended up back at our house eventually. But that was amazing. And the only other peanut special I remember is the football. I don't know which
Yeah.
one that is, but I remember that, like that scene specifically. Which
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just it's burned in there. I don't know. But
That's a recurring theme in the Peanuts world, is the football. And I should also add, it's sort of a metaphor for my life at times. That you continue to trust someone and they always let you down.
I should also like add one small part that the Snoopy as the dog, and Charlie Brown and Snoopy's relationship sort of mirrors my relationship with my furry creature as well. And so I always loved that the only other person that you would see really in Charlie Brown's family life, well, I guess his sister,
His sister,
Sally,
Sally, right?
his sister Sally, but his dog is like his best friend, and I always love that too. So shout out to that too. All right, I want to hear Kelsi's first choice.
oh gosh. So honestly, both of mine are kind of tied for the same reason. But I'll go ahead and do Nightmare Before Christmas to start. I literally just love this movie because my mom loved this movie. And so when I was growing up, it was like we'd always watch it, whether it was Halloween time or Christmas or both. It was a very like fundamental part of it. In addition to when I was working for Disney, I remember watching it with like my roommates and everything like that. And they have all of the, I mean, Night Before Christmas is Disney. So they had all of the, like, I don't want to call it memorabilia because that's weird, but you know, like all the stuff. Yeah, all the stuff for the movie and things like that. And it was just super cool. But honestly, it's just one of those things where it talks, you know, throughout the movie, it's talking about how he's trying to like make Christmas better. He wants to be part of Christmas. And in the end, you know, he finds out that like he can't do it, but he's like in love with Sally, and it's a whole nice warm fuzzy feeling. And I don't know, it's just a fantastic movie. And I love the fact that it's a multiple holiday movie. That's amazing to me. But yeah, ultimately it's really just that sentimental piece, just like you, G. Like because my mom loved it and my dad loves it too. So like, because it was such a family thing, it just brings back so many warm fuzzy feelings for me that I like have to watch it because it just makes me happy.
I think that it is brilliant that, you know, like Tim Burton could bring together something like, it's pretty creepy. Like if you look at the graphics, like removed from the story, they're really creepy, but that he was able to draw people in and like actually fall in love with these characters and want them to like fall in love and succeed. And it turns out to be a movie much with the Christmas spirit, but with Halloween graphics. That's amazing to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I remember as a kid, I always, you know how he like follows through the Christmas door, but there's like all the other holiday doors. I'm like, can we just go explore those too? Like, can we just take a minute and like go fall down those as well? Because I really want to see like Easter just for funsies, but they never did it, and it makes me sad. But I agree. It's just so cool. So cool. And Zero, oh, he's just so cute. Can't. Okay.
Yeah, that, you know, two things about that movie. One is it had staying power that I didn't expect. Like I think I was in high school, maybe middle school when that came out, and I saw it and I loved it, and I thought that there's a lot of hoopla about the claymation about in advance of it and how impressive it was. And I remember thinking that was really cool. And also but also sort of being surprised now in retrospect. I mean, that was what, 30 years ago, almost 25 years ago, realizing like this is still a mainstay. I mean, you, especially actually at Halloween, you walk into Halloween stores, that's a really popular costume. There's a lot of decor and, like you said, memorabilia around it. The other thing about that movie though is that the musical numbers are really good. I mean, really, really good. There's a lot of great musical sequences, and actually some that I associate with Halloween and some that I associate with Christmas. And so our family Halloween playlist is made up of a lot of songs from that movie. But then What's This ends up being on our Christmas playlist because it's a great Christmas song, or sort of, yeah. So very good stuff. All right, is it my turn or anyone else?
It's your turn. You go, Ryan.
Okay. So my two films, there's a theme here around the two that I picked, but we're going to start with the first one, which is A Christmas Story. So one, I love this movie for nostalgia reasons. This movie is played, or at least historically has been played on TBS just over and over and over again all day on Christmas. So when I think about Christmas, it's hard not to, like, literally Christmas Day, it's hard not to think about this movie because it's just always sort of on in the background. But it really speaks to something that I love about Christmas, which is having big plans, wanting things to go a certain way, having things not go that way, and running into problem after problem after problem, but still developing amazing memories, family memories, despite all that. And, the thing I love about this movie is, and this is, so I'm not going to spoil my second pick, other than to say that this movie, A Christmas Story, is about that experience for children. My next movie is that experience for adults. And which is to say that, like, this movie is, to me, all about sort of the joy and the wonder of Christmas and all the excitement, not just Christmas Day, but the month leading up to it. And then, but also included in that, the disappointment of not getting what you want, the things that go wrong along the way, the complicated relationship kids have with their parents during that time of, like, I want this thing, or my parents are stressed out, or, all of this other stuff. And so I will also add that I don't think there's a more quotable movie for me when it comes to Christmas, that we drop quotes from this movie every time we, all holiday season. It's things like, you'll shoot your eye out. It's the stuff like that. So lots of good things.
So I'm embarrassed to say I have never seen this movie. But because I think that my parents must have watched it and seen, like, it's sort of like a dysfunctional family thing. And I can imagine my parents, like, saying, never show this to our kids.
Yeah, I would say it. I mean, it's funny because there is something dysfunctional about this family, that is for sure. But it's also a family that clearly loves each other, right? I mean, it's not like, this isn't the same kind of dysfunctional family that you might see someplace else. This is a family that just, like, can't seem to get it right, that just, like, sort of like doesn't communicate super well, screws up. But it's not a family that dislikes each other, right? And so there's something really sweet about that in this movie as well. Kelsi, have you seen A Christmas Story?
I have, and honestly, you kind of stole it from me. No, I like that movie a lot too. And that's actually, like, my dad's favorite movie. So again, it's full circle. Like,
Yep.
My parents had a huge impact on me, I guess, which I'm totally fine with. But yes, I know every year he literally has a shirt that says,
Nice.
I'll shoot your eye out. Yeah, every year for Christmas. That's the shirt. And it's great. I love it. I will say, though, that I think my next movie definitely is in the running for the best quotes. So that's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
I know this is not your favorite, but I'm just saying. Sorry, spoiler alert.
Yep.
But
yeah, I will. Yeah, I think one of the final thing I'll say about this before we jump to Georjeanna's, is that I think that one of the things I like about A Christmas Story is, and it's similar to the next movie, is that really what it is a movie with a bunch of set pieces that are funny, kind of outrageous things happening, moving on towards Christmas. And that is how I think about Christmas, right? I think about Christmas as not just a day, but a bunch of, like, sort of singular events, sort of set pieces of, like, the gift buying and going to see a themed play and watching holiday movies, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that lead up to this great day. And both of the movies I have selected are essentially that. Georgina.
All right. So I am clearly like the sappy sentimental one, not the movie quoting one. And I think that says something about my personality because I am not a movie quoter. I never have been. So I think it's kind of funny, but I chose It's a Wonderful Life. And I chose it because it is one of many Scrooge themed like movies or related to like being able to look back and reflect on your life and the decisions you've made and the mistakes that you've made and look at the holiday season as a chance to change that for the better, for good. And I think that's why I like this movie of all of those themed movies, but I also am a sucker for a good, like Disney version of Scrooge or whatever. But I love that story, the story that you can make mistakes, but if you reflect on them, you can go back and you can't change what you've done in the past, but you have a chance to change your future, like in the Ghost of like Christmas Future kind of thing. I like that thought that we could somehow change the future to be a better one. So look at me, sappy sap.
No, that movie is amazing. It's funny. I actually have not seen it from start to finish in a very long time. I have seen it, but it's been a very long time. But the post office that I would go to in Mississippi when I lived there for those 5 years always had it playing for the Christmas season. So like starting the day after Thanksgiving, they just had that movie on repeat at the post office. And it sounds weird to think of someone spending this much time at a post office, but when I lived there, you would have to go to the post office all the time to like send gifts to family I had all over the country. So I actually have seen most of this movie standing in line at the post office in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. But it was, you're right. I mean, there's something very, very, very sweet about this movie and about sort of the life reflection piece. Kelsi, have you seen It's a Wonderful Life?
Yes, and that's another one that sparks a lot of joy for me. And it reminds me a lot of, because that's the one where it's like when a bell rings, an angel gets their wings, right? Okay.
Yes.
So yes, see, I knew. Like, I remember this
movie quote.
Yes. So, and that's not only just like the theme of that movie, like you were describing, I think is beautiful and wonderful and wholesome, but I'm sorry, my theme is family, I guess. I'm rolling with it. But my mom and I specifically would watch all of those older movies all the time, not just Christmas, but all of like the older movies. And I loved it. Like White Christmas as well is one of the really good ones, or Holiday Inn is a really good one. Yeah. So that made me think of that too. But yes, A Wonderful Life is fantastic. And now I have to watch it because it's been a minute. So thank you for that reminder, a friendly reminder.
Yeah, me too. And actually, this is one I haven't introduced my kids to yet, and I'm not sure why we haven't done it, but I should. I think they're at a stage where they like it. I think when they were younger, maybe it would have been a little slow, but I think now where they're at, they would appreciate it. So,
agreed.
Very good. Kelsi, what's number 2 for you? I mean, I know what it is. I'm gonna withhold judgment.
Can we withhold? Okay. So my number 2 is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Wow. What a delivery. Okay. So, but that is the 1964. So the original, like claymation, Rudolph. And again, watched it with my family, watch it every Christmas. And there's a lot of one-liners in there that are probably no longer appropriate. And I acknowledge this, and I feel terrible that they're but they're funny to me now because it's like just so ridiculous. Like one of them that really makes me laugh is when Rudolph's dad or whatever goes off and they're like, can we come with? He's like, no, this is man's work. And then like 20 seconds later, the women go. They're like, and we're going anyways, it's fine. So like that just makes me happy. Or the other one is let's be independent together. So that's like, those are some that every Christmas, like my family and I, like we drop those all the time, just randomly. So I totally align with you, Ryan. Like there's certain movies that just, they come up, they're a thing. But no, I just love this movie because I think that it, over the entire time, you're just like this poor little reindeer with his red nose and he tries to hide it. And then all of a sudden he finds friends and then he's appreciated. And to be fair, I'm not a huge fan of the fact that the only reason we appreciate him is because he can do something for us. That's not great, but it's such a cute movie and I love every other part of it. And there's a bunch of spin-offs where he does so much more. Okay. So, and yes, there's so many spin-offs of Rudolph. Yes,
Wow.
I know. Yes, there's a
Did
whole
not know
collection.
that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it just brings so much joy. And again, one of our family favorites. So like we'll watch it after we make cookies or after we make gingerbread houses or whatever. So it's just that nostalgia and love and warm fuzzies that propels that for us or for me.
I can appreciate all this. So the listeners have probably discovered at this point, I'm not a fan of said movie. I will go on record as saying, so I'm not going to get into all the reasons. I'll go on record as saying I actually actively hate this movie and I removed it from my collection as an adult. But that said, I can appreciate all of the reasons you like it. Like I can appreciate the fact that there are some really funny lines in it. It is very cute. The claymation is adorable. Actually, I think a lot of the songs are very sweet. I especially like when Rudolph is what's the girl reindeer? Is her name Clarice?
Yes.
Yeah, Clarice.
So like Hannibal Lecter, so,
only you would make that connection. Okay. She's cute. She has a little bow, and now you just made it.
Yeah, no, I think every time I talk about Clarice, I try and say it in Hannibal Lecter's voice. And so, in fact, that's a mashup I would like to see. Listeners, if you have any tech skills, if you want to somehow mash up Clarice and Hannibal Lecter, I would love to see Silence of the Reindeer. But no, anyways, when Clarice, when Rudolph discovers that Clarice likes him and he gets all excited and flies, it is a very, very sweet moment. I can appreciate all of that. My issue with the overall messaging, which I decided at one point I didn't want my kids to absorb, and so decided to hide it from them when they were kids. But I get it. I get all the things you like about it.
I get it. And it's, sorry. One thing. That's the thing too, is with all of these, like I said, there's a lot of one-liners in there that are a little bit like, ooh, like it's definitely not aged well. But we definitely do a very good job of like, we do let my nieces and nephews watch, but we'll have that conversation. Like we'll pause and be like, just so you know, I know we laughed, but this is why, like this is not appropriate or whatever. So like, it's also nice because we use it as like a family bonding and teaching moment, which is really nice.
Yep.
But yeah, and you're right. I forgot that line where he's like, she thinks I'm cute.
Yes, that's it's really adorable. That's when he flies, right? So there's something sweet about love powering your ability to fly.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Georgina, I totally cut you off.
Where do you come down on Rudolph, G?
No, I actually love this movie. And didn't Burl Ives write all the music for it? And he plays the snowman, right?
Yes. I don't know the part about writing, but he definitely is the snowman. Yeah.
I think he wrote the music for it, but I'm not sure about that. But I'm a huge fan of that, and I always loved it. I'm sorry, Ryan, but it's still in my collection. So Kelsi, I'm with you, and I do love the part where he goes, "She's so cute," and then he flies.
Yeah, I actually, so I will to Kelsi's point about watching it and having those conversations. I I am now at a point with our kids where we can do that, right? Where it's easier to have that. And so I think we're now coming around to sort of appreciating it, but in some ways appreciating it ironically, right? That we're able to talk about some of those things, to make jokes about how the solution at one point is to pull out a creature's teeth, which is not at all disturbing. The kind of thing that would happen in a torture scene from other movies. But anyways, we can have those conversations in a way that makes me laugh. Now that I've made the Silence of the Lambs connection too, that is also something I can share with my kids.
You know what though? The Bumble got his teeth pulled by a professional. Okay. So that's all I'm gonna say. Hermie is a dentist. Okay. So it was probably fine. Not great, but fine. I'm just throwing it out there. Okay.
By a professional. I like it. Yeah. That's it. We need a t-shirt somehow that says that. Like the Bumble had his teeth pulled by a professional. I want All right,
Ryan, give us your last one.
Yeah, so I probably spoiled it. Most people probably know where I'm going with this, but I will say this is my absolute 100% favorite holiday movie of any sort. And I have lots of holiday movies that I like a lot that aren't Christmas themed. We just watched Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, which is a Thanksgiving movie, and wow, do I love it. But I really love National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. And for all of the same reasons that I love A Christmas Story, this is essentially the version of that story that is for adults, right? Which is, I'm trying to create the perfect Christmas for you, and things keep getting screwed up, but in the end, it's still wonderful and created a whole bunch of great family memories. And that's again, that's the theme I've had for both of these. It's also worth noting that in all of my examples here, including Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, are some of the best rants from a character in cinema history, right? And so the anger researcher in me, I actually watched it this morning. I mean, I didn't watch the movie this morning, but this morning I went to YouTube and watched a few of Clark Griswold's rants from Vacation, which are some of my favorite scenes in any movie. That they're just these great momentary explosions that happen in front of his kids that I absolutely love. There's also a great one in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. And then also, once again, we're noticing a theme here that people shouldn't read too much into. In A Christmas Story, the dad is also an angry dad who has a lot of sort of basement tirades over the furnace that are pretty great. So maybe that's what I really like is angry outbursts at the holidays.
I think that maybe part of it is the anger researcher in you. Like the movies that I pick are devoid of negative emotion. And so like yours is a more realistic look at what can be a very stressful holiday, whereas I would be like sugarcoating it with a white coating of snow that sparkles, like covers up things underneath, whereas you have chosen movies that I think address that head on, and I think that says something about you and I.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things I love about is this is not just true of the holidays. It's true of all big events, right? Vacations, things like that, is that human beings, like our reactions to things are not just the sum total of kind of negative and positive experiences. We look back at things and we focus on sort of the highlights, right? We focus on the things that oftentimes went well. I mean, not always, and so, when after a vacation, after a wedding, after the holidays, and you look back on it, you're not taking in every single moment that went poorly or well. You're just thinking of kind of, okay, so where did we come down on all of this, and how do I feel overall afterwards based on some of these highlight moments. And I like that. I like acknowledging that Christmas brings with it stress, anger, anxiety that that all of those things happen, waiting in long lines, that there's angst there, but through all of it, we oftentimes come out feeling good. Kelsi, Christmas Vacation, have you seen it?
I don't think I've ever seen it. I
What?
literally Googled it. I know. I've never seen. I was thinking of it as a different movie, and that was
Okay.
inaccurate. So I don't think I've ever seen it. However, I have seen the cover multiple times throughout my life. However, I don't think I've ever actually watched it. So now I guess I have to watch that too.
Yeah, you should.
I think that the Clark Griswold character is an iconic American dad.
Yep.
Like in a way that we can learn about our culture, and maybe not all positive.
Yeah. And I would say even especially, that is especially true of that particular time period, right? That in the 80s and 90s, this was sort of what that typical dad looked like, you know? And I would completely agree. I love all the vacation movies, including the ones that most people don't like Vegas Vacation, which I think a lot of people don't like very much. I even liked the most recent one, like kind of the remake about the next generation with Ed Helms. And yeah, I thought it was really funny. I thought it was really funny. So I'm obviously a sucker for this character. But yeah, I think that series is great. I have not introduced my kids to the other movies just yet, but mainly just because we haven't gotten to it. They love Christmas Vacation. We just haven't gotten to the other ones yet. So.
Awesome.
Very cool. Well, this has gotten me in the mood to watch some of these movies. And actually, by the time this comes out, people are only going to have about a week to watch these. So get cracking, people. Before we shift to our heartfelt goodbyes to Kelsi, throw in some other just like Christmas movies or holiday movies that you love real quick. Give people some, we don't have to talk about them, but just things like that. I will tell you, I've got a new one here. I'll kick it off.
Okay.
8-Bit Christmas just came out. It's available on HBO Max. It is exactly what I've been talking about. It's a new movie. It's about a kid in the 80s who is trying to get his first ever Nintendo. When it comes out, it's so good. I really, really loved it for all the reasons I've been talking about these other things, but it's also, it's a very sweet sort of learning moment. Love that one. I mentioned Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Thanksgiving movie that I absolutely love and adore. I always have to mention Curious George because he's my favorite. But Curious George, kids are way too old for that one, but I still make us watch it.
Yeah, I guess the Grinch. We didn't even mention the Grinch, like not the one with Jim Carrey, because that one is not my favorite. But I do love me a classic Grinch. And once again, the dog and the human like bond, it just speaks to me. And that little Cindy Lou Who, she gets me every time. She's so dang cute.
I heard a quote the other day where someone said, "The Grinch didn't hate Christmas; he hated people, and that's fair." And so which I kind of cling to. But
yeah,
do you have any others, Kelsi, that you love?
Yeah, and I agree. I love the original Grinch, and I actually, because we're talking about like the animated, like OG Grinch. Okay, so my parents had this tendency to find these movies that had like big words, and they teach us what these words meant. So the old Grinch uses the word euphemism when he has to use the outhouse. So I learned that at a very young age what that meant, which makes me smile. But I would also recommend the Santa Claus movies. I love those. Yes, I think those are fantastic.
Yes.
And now I'm blanking. There's other Rudolph movies. Sorry, I have to say it. The Heat Miser and Mr. Freeze. Yes, that's the other one that I really like too. But there you go. You got a whole trilogy of Santa Claus. You have multiple reindeer movies. I have done my piece. Yes.
Kelsi has set you up for the holidays. Outstanding. Okay, let's draw this episode to a close. Kelsi, I can't thank you enough for all the work you've done over the last year. It has been a joy to work with you. Thank you for everything, and I'm so glad that you were on this last episode, even if you were talking about Rudolph. It was really, really great. So thank you.
Yes, and I think that we, Ryan and I have both learned so much about like social media from you and the high quality content that you've been putting out for the year, but also really great just to have you on the episodes and asking great questions and getting really excited. The Phineas Gage episode was my favorite because you made the most amazing graphic for that, and you were so excited about that content, and it made me really excited. And so I have enjoyed seeing the episodes and the guests through your eyes has been just a joy. So thank you.
Oh, I don't like it.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Yep.
I appreciate you both like so much. And I don't mean to say I don't like you guys and everything you just said. I love it. I'm very thankful, very appreciative. It just, the fact that it's coming to an end is breaking my heart. And you're right. I know internships and it's life. It's, but I can't thank you both enough for having this experience, being a part of this, being behind the scenes. And you're right, G, like I learned so much about random things, and something that I hadn't realized really either. And it sounds silly, but it seems obvious, but like the fact that there's psychology in every aspect of our life, the fact that different disciplines can comment on different areas of psychology in our life, that there's different contributions. It just is amazing to me, and I love it. And I've just learned that so much. And yes, I've loved everything about this. I'm very sad I don't get to see your beautiful, wonderful faces regularly anymore, but I am sure we will stay in touch in some way, shape, or form. And I wish the next person, the next intern, the best of luck.
Yeah, otherwise we're gonna have to learn how to take our pictures. That's the hardest part of the whole episode, is the still photograph that we have to take.
Truth. Awesome. Well, thank you for everything, Kelsi. And you can see her work firsthand by checking out Psych and Stuff on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. That's at Psych and Stuff. Good place to ask questions, request topics for episodes, contribute to new segments, things like that. You can also follow me on all the places at Anger Professor. And G, your handle is?
GeorjeannaWD.
Perfect. And she is on Twitter and Instagram. And so thank you all very much for listening. We will be back in January with new episodes. I know we have topics mapped out. I do not remember what they are right now, but we've got all sorts of great stuff coming up. So I'm excited. I'm excited to be back in a little bit after the holidays. Psychology and Stuff is a production of Phoenix Studios at the University of Wisconsin-Green Bay. The executive producer is Ryan Martin, and the production manager is Kate Farley. Our audio production coordinator is Bill Sallet. Our graphic designer is Kimberly Weiss, and our intern is Kelsi Engelhardt. If you haven't already, please make sure to rate, review, and subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platform. You can also head over to our website, uwgb.edu/podcast, to check out past episodes of this and all our shows. I'm your host, Ryan Martin, and I'm here, as always, with my co-host, Georjeanna Wilson-Benjus. Keep being amazing.